So, you're thinking about picking up a Royal Enfield Meteor 350? You know, professional reviews are great and all, but what's it actually like to live with stay-to-day? Well, we've gone ahead and sifted through tons of real-world owner reviews to get you the honest story. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Okay, the absolute first thing you have to know about the Meteor 350 is this. People are going to notice it. According to the folks who own one, this bike is way more than just transportation. It's a rolling conversation starter. And, this quote from Reddit user Spider101, it pretty much sums up a feeling we saw over and over again. And that really brings us to our first point here, the sheer look of this bike. For so many owners, their whole journey with the Meteor 350 started with just love at first sight. It's the kind of bike that grabs you with its style long before you ever even think about turning the key. What's really wild is just how consistent the praise is. Owners talk about its commanding presence on the road, and they use words like class and confidence. That stellar black matte finish especially gets so much attention. You can tell this bike was absolutely designed to make an impression.
All right, so the style's got you hooked. You go out and buy the bike. What happens then? Let's talk about the honeymoon phase. This is all about that initial rush, that first riding experience, and all the little things that make new owners feel like they've made the absolute perfect choice.
Yet once they actually get out on the road, a really clear pattern starts to show up. The engine is super smooth on the highway, the brakes give even new riders a ton of confidence, and that little tripper navigation pod, people call it a lifesaver. But you know what? A couple of these points really deserve a closer look. That engine gets so much praise for its character. Now, it's not going to win any drag races, but owners say it finds this beautiful sweet spot on the highway, right around 100 to 120 kilometers per hour. They say the vibrations just melt away. We even saw one owner who did a 1,000-kilometer ride in one go, and the bike just took it like a champ. The big takeaway? This thing is a surprisingly reliable long hauler.
And this right here perfectly highlights the Meteor's biggest and maybe most surprising asset, that seat. People describe it as phenomenal, even luxurious. The comfort of the stock seat is a huge selling point. I mean, for riders who want to spend hours and hours on the road, this feature alone could be the thing that seals the deal. But hey, let's be real, no bike is perfect. After that initial honeymoon phase starts to fade, a few, let's say, harsh realities begin to creep in. And this is the stuff that really separates the casual fans from the true believers. This is the brutally honest truth about the Meteor's flaws. And there it is, the single biggest complaint we saw, and user GZRF Fox just nails it. It's kind of funny, right? For a bike with such a comfy seat, the ride from that stiff rear suspension is just a massive contradiction. Owners say that on any road that isn't perfectly smooth, the ride is just plain harsh. So when you look at all the feedback, three big problems pop up over and over again. You've got that harsh suspension we just talked about, a headlight that's honestly kind of dangerous, and mirrors that basically become useless at speed. Let's break those last two down, because they're a really big deal. Owners are pretty much unanimous on this one. The stock headlight is just awful. The light it throws out is weak, and even worse, the high beam seems to be permanently aimed at the sky, lighting up trees and billboards instead of the road ahead. This isn't just some small annoyance, it's a major safety issue for anyone who plans on riding after dark. The mirror problem is just as serious. As you start to pick up speed, the vibrations get so intense that whatever's in the reflection just becomes a total blur. So at highway speeds, when you really need to know what's going on behind you, the mirrors completely fail you. But here's the cool part. This is where the community really shines. See, owners don't just complain, they figure out solutions. So this next part is what we're calling the owner's toolkit. It's basically a collection of the most common road-tested fixes for the Meteor's biggest problems. First up, those shaky mirrors. The fix here is surprisingly simple and not too expensive. Royal Enfield actually sells their own set of touring mirrors. And owners who make the switch, they call them a game changer. All of a sudden, you've got a stable, crystal clear view at any speed. It's a pretty easy bolt-on upgrade most people can do themselves. Okay, next up, that useless headlight. The community solution for this is a two-part attack that takes a little more investment. First, you install a set of auxiliary fog lamps to get a much wider beam. And second, you swap out that main halogen bulb for a much brighter LED. Now, it takes a bit of wiring and costs more than the mirrors, but owners all agree these two changes are absolutely essential if you want to make night riding safe. And now for the big one, the suspension. This is definitely the most involved fix, but it's also the one that pays off the most. The go-to solution is to swap out the stock shocks for the Nitrox gas-charged ones from its sibling, the Classic 350. It's a direct replacement, though you might want to get a mechanic to do it if you're not super comfortable with that kind of work. But wow, the owners who've done this say it's a night and day difference. The bike goes from jarring and harsh to gliding over bumps.
So, we've looked at the good, the bad, and the brilliant community fixes. Let's try to pull this all together for a final verdict. We're going to tackle some of the most common questions from potential buyers to really figure out, who is this bike actually for?
Okay, this question came up all the time. With that low-slung cruiser design, how does the Meteor 350 actually fit riders who are, let's say, over 6 feet tall?
Well, the feedback is surprisingly good, but there's a pretty important catch. We saw riders all the way up to 6'4" saying they feel perfectly comfortable. One even called it sofa-like. The catch seems to be how you use it. For zipping around the city or on shorter rides, it's fantastic. But one long-distance tourer mentioned that on multi-day trips, the lack of legroom really starts to become a problem.
And that leads us right into the other major decision that buyers face. The Meteor shares its fantastic engine with the iconic Classic 350. So, which one should you choose?
Look, when you boil it all down, it really comes to two things: how you want to sit and what you want to look at. The Meteor is a pure cruiser. You've got that feet-forward, laid-back position and a more modern style. The Classic, on the other hand, gives you that traditional, upright posture and that timeless retro cool. Oh, and it's worth remembering, the Classic comes with better suspension right from the factory. After going through all this feedback, one owner used a term that just seemed to capture the Meteor 350 perfectly. He called it a romantic spike. And that's so spot on. It's not about being the fastest or the most technically advanced. It's a bike you choose with your heart because you fall in love with its charm and its character, flaws and all. And that leaves us with this final thought, which is just perfect. The Meteor 350 is definitely not for everyone. It has its issues, and it kind of asks you to meet it halfway. But for the right person, someone who's looking for style and comfort and character more than just raw performance, well, for that person, it might just be their one true love.